Hi everybody, this is a video to show you how to take to Design Space this new SVG to create this reusable advent calendar. It's quite a complex project. It's not difficult to understand, I don't think, because of course all these little boxes here are quite repetitive. So you only need to know how to make one tucking box and you can make them all. But the difficult part of it is this frame in which the boxes are pushed to form the calendar. If I look at this picture here, you can see you've sort of got this outer frame into which the other boxes get pushed. You get two levels of frame, one which is full depth if you want to create boxes with handles or something so that everything sits flush with the front face. And then you get the other version has shallower walls. If I can just nope, go the other way. Yeah, here you can see in these where, yeah, the boxes, when you push them right in, they still sit about half an inch up from the front face of the box. So you don't need handles on those because you can actually just grab hold of those and pull those out and push them back in. You get a set of artworks to create this print then cut version. And of course, they might not be to everybody's taste. I love them, but that's just my personal preference. But of course, you can use the SVGs to create your own print then cut artworks in Design Space if you want to, or outside of it. All the small boxes can be cut from A4 or letter, apart from these two 4-space boxes. I talk about a single space, a 2-space, a 3-space, and that's because it's based, the whole calendar is based on a square grid. So you've got these little square fronted boxes which take up one of the grid spaces, and then you've got the rectangular ones that take up two, and then the longer rectangular ones that take up three, and then these square ones that take up 4 spaces on the grid. Everything except these 4-space ones will cut from A4 or letter, whether you're doing print then cut or not. But the 4-space ones, you'll need 12 by 12 if you're going to cut those plain. And obviously, if you're going to do print then cut with those, with that size of box, you would need A3 or tabloid in your printer. Of course, it's a cut file SVG. You can reduce it down if you want to. But if you went a lot smaller than it is, then these gaps between, you see how you've got that sort of framework, then the gaps between would also get smaller, and I think you would probably find that they weren't strong enough. If they got much narrower than they are there, I'm not sure that they'd be strong enough to withstand you pushing and pulling the boxes in and out a lot. Okay, so I'm going to dive into Design Space. It is a big project. I say on the Etsy listing that it's a good idea not to do this if you've never done anything on the Cricut before, or if you're not an experienced paper crafter, because it really does demand quite a lot in terms of being painstaking with the actual crafting of it. And it's a big file to handle. There are lots of pieces of it to cut and fold. When I made mine, obviously I made that print then cut version and then the plain black version. It took the whole of a long day to make each one of those. So it's not a small project. It is beautiful, and a plan behind it is that this is not something you'll make each year and throw away. It's something that you can make and keep for a few years to come. A bit more of a keepsake than a lot of paper crafts. Right, so we will go ahead and bring it in. I'm going to start from scratch, and I've got it somewhere in my library already, but I'll just bring it in from scratch. All advents, all types, reusable advent, there it is. Reusable advent 24. Okay, so right, we'll just scroll out so we can see all the pieces. As always, with my SVGs, you get a PDF of very detailed instructions. Is it just me, or has the grid changed after an update? It didn't used to be that big, did it? Anyway, I digress. Sorry. You get a PDF of assembly instructions with this advent calendar. there's not loads to it because your pockets are all made the same, your tucking boxes are made the same. The biggest part of the assembly, I think, is creating this little tray, this box tray into which all the boxes get pushed. That's the place where you need to be really careful. I recommend that you get a bone folder if you're going to do this project because you need really sharp 90-degree creases on your pieces. Not only so it looks smart, but so that everything fits together. There's not a huge tolerance on the spaces that these boxes get pushed into because I want full boxes to stay in the frame. And particularly with the frame, the boxes that stand proud of the frame, if they were full, then you don't want them starting to tip out of the box wall. It's hard to know what to call everything. You don't want the little boxes to be able to tip out of the frame because they're too loose. So they're not super tight, but they are nice and snug. And if you don't fold them sharply enough, they'll be quite difficult to insert. Sound like I'm putting you off buying it, don't I? And if you're new to cricketing and new to crafting, I kind of am trying to put you off because I think if you'd done this as a first project, you'd probably be a bit overwhelmed with it and a bit fed up. Um, so I've got other simpler advents if you want to make an advent calendar. If you've never made one before, I wouldn't choose this as your first one. But anyway, let's crack on and we'll do what we usually do. I'm going to treat this as if we are just cutting a plain advent calendar. So as if you're going to cut it completely plain, and then you'd embellish it yourself. You put numbers on and little handles or whatever you wanted to do. Well, actually with this one, the main SVG that you get has the shallower walls. So if you're making this box, you'd be making it where the boxes stick proud of the frame a little bit. Enough talking. Let's do what we usually do. So, as always, the first thing you need to do with any SVG file that's got multiple pieces and cut files, you've got to convert those lines that come in as cuts, which we actually need to be scores. We can't make them come in already set to score. And if an SVG file like this with multiple pieces and score lines has been saved correctly, it should come in, looking at your layers panel, in 3 groups really, 2 subgroups and a main group. So the whole SVG will be grouped together. Everything on screen will be grouped together. And then within that, there should be 2 subgroups. One that contains all the lines you're going to convert to scores, and the other one that contains all the cuts. So we just need to click on the name, in my SVGs anyway, you just need to click on the name of that first subgroup in your layers panel and it selects everything in it. Then you go to your operations menu, click on score, and you can see that the lines that need to be converted get converted now. But because there's way more than one set, we've got to ungroup them because we need to attach everything individually at some point. So while they're selected like this, we're going to ungroup. I'm using the desktop version for PC, and for me, ungroup is at the top of the layers panel. Then scroll down and find that next group that contains all the cuts, and all we need to do there is ungroup. And the third step is to select everything on screen any way you want to do it. There is still that overall group in the layers panel, so you can just click on the name of that group, or you can use the select all button in the top menu there, or you can drag a box to enclose it. However you do it, once everything's selected, click ungroup again. So now everything is a separate piece on screen and we can attach individual sets of score lines to the pieces that they relate to. And I think the quickest way to do that is to click on canvas. I'll just zoom in a little bit. Click on canvas somewhere near a piece, drag a box to more or less enclose it and click attach. And we need to do that for every piece on screen that's got score lines, which is almost every piece in this one. Not quite, but nearly. These yellow pieces here, these are the tuck-in boxes that get pushed into the holes in the box frame. These are the pockets into which those little boxes sit. So these pockets fold up and go into this frame to make those spaces you saw earlier. And obviously there's a pocket to match each box, a 3, a 2, a 1 space and this 4 space. Then you've got the walls for the long edges. I'll just move those out of the way. And walls for the short edges. And then finally, you've got this piece. And with this piece, you're going to make sure you select absolutely everything, because you don't just need to attach the scores, you need to attach all those little cuts within it as well. The slices that make those little sections open up. So select absolutely everything and attach. And then the only other piece that's left is the back, which has no scores, so nothing to do there. Okay, so we've got the back and the front. There's walls for the top, the walls for each side. That's your main box frame. And then these are the pockets and the little tuck-in boxes that you put your treats into. In the PDF, it tells you how many you need to cut of each one. And I haven't got mine. Yeah, there's the original. I haven't saved it as a PDF yet because I need to be able to link this video. On the first page, just zoom in a little bit so you can see it. It tells you, you can see that the diagram of the PDF is all labelled so you know which piece I'm talking about in the instructions. And then this little paragraph here tells you how many you need to cut of each one. So we need 6 single space pockets and boxes, 14 of the 2 space ones, and 2 of the 3 and 2 of the 4 space pockets and boxes. Right, so it was 6 of those, wasn't it? So all you're going to do is you're going to either copy and paste like that, or you can just select them and duplicate. Duplicate for me is up there. I also tend, oops, I hit group then, didn't I, instead? Foolish woman. Yeah. Duplicate. So that's 4. And duplicate again. So now we've got 6 of those single space pockets. I'm just going to put those over there. This is the 2 space pocket. We need 14 of these. So duplicate it. That's 2. And again makes 4. And double that gives us 8. And double that would give us 16. And I'm going to take 2 away because we only want 14. Right, so that's 14 of the 2 space pockets. You can see already that it takes a lot of card to make this calendar. It really does. All the pockets and all the boxes will cut from, apart from those, let's have a look. Actually, yeah, that would cut from letter. It'd even cut from A4, wouldn't it? Yeah, all the boxes, if you just cut in plain boxes, would cut from A4, but obviously you need A3 to cut this main box because there's no getting away from these pieces. And if you're in the US and you can't get A3 paper, you're going to need to use 12 by 24 or poster board, which you're going to cut down to fit your mat. Right, so 6 single space, 14 2 space. We needed 2 of these, wasn't it? So all I'm doing there is I'm copying and pasting with my keyboard. So we've got 2 of those and we need 2 of these. Right, so that's all the pockets. This is the single space box. We need 6 of those. So I'm copying and pasting and then paste 2 and then paste another 2. So that's 6 of those. We need 2 of these. We need 2 of the 4 space box. Don't worry that you don't know the names of all these. You've got your diagram to refer to. And then we need 14 of these. So actually what I'm going to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And obviously it doesn't matter where you put them on your canvas. And 2 7s are 14. And that's how many we need of those. Right, so just for argument's sake, let's say that we're cutting the frame and the pockets from one colour and we're cutting the tuck-in boxes from another. Let's hit make it and see what happens. So you can see that all the single little boxes, all the tuck-in boxes, you can choose A4 or letter for those. You could cut all those individually. You could also print and cut all the little boxes apart from the 4-space ones using A4 or letter. But if you're going to print and cut the 4-space boxes, you're going to have to use tabloid or A3, so you would need the long mat for those. You need the long mat for this project anyway because of where are they? Yeah, these pieces here, the back and the front face. They you need A3 or 12 by 24 or poster board for those. They're too big for tabloid. Right, so that's if we were going to cut. Obviously, if you were going to cut all those little boxes, hang on, let's have a look. I wonder. When I did mine, I wonder if I could just show you it. I don't think I can show you it without. Because I don't know how to create a new window now. You know, you used to be able to. Because if I click new, it'll ask me if I want to replace home, canvas. Yeah. I wonder where file new window's gone. Oh, here we are. File new window. Right. I'm going to open. Just to show you what I did. Look at this. This is a project called Advent with 24 boxes new. And this was where I'll click customize, see if we can get into it. It does take a while because it's a big project. Right, and what I did when I set mine up for cut was I knew I was going to cut it from A3, so I placed all these together on canvas and attached them in shapes that would cut from A3. And I think when I did that, I needed something like 18 sheets of A3. Yeah, there's no getting away from it. It's a huge project, but you can see the reason I did that was, for instance, for the single space pockets, I interlocked them like that so they would fit on an A3. And the way I did it on canvas, because I find it easier to do this on canvas, and plus, if you do it on canvas and attach them, rather than moving things around on your mats once you've hit make it, you only need to do it once. So what I did with this project was I brought in a shape, unlocked the padlock, and I made it A3 size. I made it 29.7 centimeters, whoops, 29.7 centimeters wide and 42 tall. So that was my A3 sheet. And then I'll just send that to the back. I arranged these within that space so I knew they would cut from A3. Some cuts are less economical than others. So that was me setting this up to print on A3. So if you're going to do that and you want to save it as a project, I encourage you to do what I've done. Set these pieces up to cut on A3 and attach them in those groups once you've created them. Let's just hide that and go back to this original project. And what I was going to look at, if you were just cutting these plain, I don't know if you can. I was just wondering. No, you can't. It's way too long. And 219's no, 34. Yeah, it's too long. Yeah, you can't get. That's the smallest box. And yeah, oh no, that's the smallest box. That's the smallest box. Oops. Wow. I don't know about you, but since the upgrade, Design Space is doing some weird stuff for me. Right, I'm going to try the rotation thing. I think in theory that should work. Yes. Yeah, if you're cutting those from plain then and using A4, then put two together like that, attach them, and then when you hit make it, they'll stay that way around. So if you were doing that, I'm going to get rid of those, and I'm just going to copy and paste that. That gives you 4 boxes, and that gives you 6. That gives you 6, which will print on 3 A4s. Other things are definitely going to take an A4 each. There's no way around it. They're simply too big to get 2 on an A4. That's the 2 space, and it's, yeah, 34 or 38. Sadly, yeah, so 1 sheet of A4 for those. So I really recommend that once you decide what you're going to cut this from, Apologies if you can hear my dog barking, he's just seeing the postman. Once you've decided what you're going to cut this from, set it up on your canvas and attach the pieces in the to fit that format, and then you only need to do it once and then save it as a project. Okay, so showed you what to do if you thought you might cut it from A3. That was the project I've just closed down. If you're going to cut it from A4, you don't need to do anything with those. So we're going to get rid of those tuck-in boxes now. Let's just hit make it again. And now look at what it does with the pockets. So you're going to choose A3, and you can see that's not too bad actually. You need 6 A3s for the walls and those pockets, and then when we get onto this bit, it's not going to let us choose A3. So yes, we need to talk about that. Okay. These pieces here are 28.56 centimeters wide and 37.3 centimeters tall. That is well within the size of an A3, which is 29.7. So you've got 12 mil on the width, and you've got 7, 8, 9, 10. You've got 5 centimeters on the length. So it easily fits in an A3. But because Design Space likes to put big margins on, it will tell you that you can't. But all you're going to do, what I would do here, because we saw that it put those on an A3, and again, just to remind you, I'm talking about the plain version of it here. This is if you're cutting plain boxes. It's not the print then cut. We'll have a chat about that in a minute. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm just going to align all those at the top. Right, let's just hit make it again. Yes, it'll fit the walls on one A3, and then we'll scroll down and it's putting those happily. We need to do something with the front and the back though, because they're going to have to go on a mat on their own. So we're just going to select those, and we're just going to change the colour to anything. It doesn't matter. So for that one, we've got to go to the layers panel to select just the cut piece and change the colour of it, and it doesn't matter what colour we make it. Right. So now that is the back. That's the box back. And you can see we can't choose A3, but we've got to use the long mat. There's no getting away from it. So just let it go through on the long mat. Tell it that you're using 12 by 24 paper, and you're just going to put your sheet of A3 on here. If you're worried at all, set it a couple of millimeters over, 1/8 of an inch over from that very first white line on your mat, and then you'll have a little bit of extra space at the right hand side to complete the cut. But as I say, you've got 1/2 inch to play with. What did I say? About 10 millimeters, 11 millimeters. It's not quite 1/2 inch, but it's nearly there. So it does fit, don't worry about it. So you're going to use A3 for the back for sure. These you can actually select A3. So that's the walls and the tuck-ins, and there you've got your front face again, which it won't let you choose A3 for. So just tell it that you're sending it on the long mat using 12 by 24, but again, put your sheet of A3 on the mat just a couple of millimeters over from that very first white line on your cutting mat. So the outer box, if you're cutting it plain, will cut from 9 sheets of A3. I'm not sure if that's not better than I had it when I set it out myself, actually. That's interesting. Have I actually got all the pockets there? I'm just going to go back and make sure. Yeah, I have. I might need to look again at my layout. I might have made mine a bit more complex than it needed to be. But of course, I have got rid of the little cutting boxes here. Yes, they would have used another 24 A4s or another 12 A3s, wouldn't they? Although with some, if I can, let's just go back to the other window here. You can see that if you are going to use A3 and set it up yourself on canvas, you can get 3 little boxes on an A3. Let me just zoom out. Zoomed out as far as I can. Get rid of that. Yeah, so if you are going to use A3, yeah, you can get 2 of those on an A3, 4 of those pockets on an A3. So I'm not sure if this is any help. I hope it is. It's just showing you if you want to keep this as a project and you want it to be quick to cut every time you go to it, set your mats up on your canvas. That's my advice. Decide what you're going to cut it from and set your mats up on your canvas. And if you're going to use A4 for your boxes, it's easy because they're just going to go through on A4s singly, apart from the little boxes, which we've just seen, will go in twos. I'm just going to bring everything back on. Undo. Should have saved it, shouldn't I? So we could just revert. There we are. Yeah, we decided that 2 of those would go on an A4. So there you'd need 3 A4s for that. And then you've got 18 boxes left. So that will be 18. 21 A4s for the boxes rather than 24. You don't save loads, do you? You only save 3 sheets. So that is the advent calendar if you're just making it as a cut file. And obviously there is a great deal more to this project. In terms of how you make it, and that's all explained in the PDF of instructions, which comes with loads of photographs. It's not possible to misunderstand it, I don't think. This is not a difficult project to understand, but it is a very it's a materials hungry project. It's quite demanding in terms of skill, and it's definitely time consuming. As I say, it took me 8 hours to make each one of the ones I made. And I did make both of mine in a long day each time. Yeah, I wouldn't do that again. I'd take a break and make it over a few days, I think. So I'm going to get rid of all that. So that was the whole project, but you also get, in case you want to make a full wall height box, you get this SVG called a full depth box frame. So this is just the box frame. You would make it in exactly the same way. So with this one, the walls are about 12 millimeters deeper, so that when you put your boxes in, like that, they sit completely flush. That one's just pulled out to show you where it goes. And with this one, if your boxes were sitting completely flush with the front face of the calendar, obviously you need some sort of handles on there. And I've used those pretty jewelled split pins or brads, whatever you call them, on mine, which I think look lovely. I haven't finished this one off yet because honestly, by the time I'd got to this point, I'd had enough. But I would put, obviously, I'd put some numbers on here and possibly some other little Christmassy embellishments to make it look a little bit more like an advent calendar. I just use this black paper because it's the paper that I've got the most of, and it's gorgeous to work with. It's a lovely paper. Right. So you treat this one just the same. Select that first subgroup in your layers panel to select the lines that need converting to scores. Go to your operations menu, click on score, and there's still more than one set. If you ever see that, you've always got to ungroup them. Then click on the cuts and ungroup those. Click on the whole SVG and ungroup that. And now we can select individual pieces and attach them. I just did Alt A on my keyboard there. But just to show you again, attach is at the bottom of the layers panel there on the desktop version for PC. Let's see what happens with these slightly wider walls. I think they should still fit on an A3. Yeah, they do. That's great, but they won't fit on a tabloid, I don't think. Or do they? No, you can't get both of them on a sheet of tabloid. So if you're using tabloid, you would need 2 sheets for those deeper walls. And again with this, you can only cut it from A3 or 12 by 24. You need the long mat anyway, obviously, even for the walls because they're very tall. And with this SVG, it's easier because it doesn't try and put anything else on the same mat as these two, so we don't need to change any colours to force things to appear on their own mat. So that's pretty easy. That again, that's cutting that plane. Well, the frame obviously. Oops, cancel. Yes, I do. Obviously there is no print then cut for the frame. So I will show you now how you will use my print then cut artworks. Obviously, it's easy for you to bring an SVG in and create your own as well. And we'll just talk about that for a second. So because what you also get, just to make it simpler, if you want to start working on the boxes first, is you get an SVG for each of the little tuck-in boxes. 4 space, single space, 3 space, 2 space. So it doesn't really matter what we bring in. We'll bring in a 2 space. So this is the SVG just for the 2 space box. So if you wanted to create your own artworks and you were going to do it in Design Space, you'd start here, wouldn't you? So we'll just zoom back in. Yeah, so that's the box for the 2 space, SVG for the 2 space box. So we're going to do everything that we would normally do first. We're going to select those scores, select the lines that need converting to scores, choose score from the drop down menu, and then because this is a single piece file here, we don't need to do any ungrouping. We can just select everything anywhere you want to do it and attach. And even though you're going to need to detach it again in a second, we're still going to attach it now to help us when we need to align the artwork to the score lines. Okay, so now we need to upload and navigate to where we've got all those PNG artworks saved on our device, and mine are in that folder there called box fronts. So let me just have a quick look at a calendar I've made so I know which day to go for. Right, number 19. 19 is a 2 space one. There we go. So you just click on the SVG to bring it in. At this window here, I always choose complex. I don't know why, but I just do. Why not choose the best? At this window here, don't do anything. You don't want to get rid of everything. You need everything that's there because that is the shape that's going to cut. Excuse me, got hiccups. Wonderful. So at this window, just hit apply and continue. And here, yes, it is going to be a print and cut image. So upload. And I just want to point out at this stage that when you get all your images into Design Space, you might get a message. Let's have a look what that says there. Yeah, that's all right. We won't worry about that. So forget that for 1 second. Okay, so my SVGs, I don't know if everybody else's do, but my SVGs always come in way too big. So you're just going to get the actual size of the piece from your SVG file, and it should be 19.17 wide. So you're going to click on your PNG that you've just brought in. Make sure this padlock is locked because you don't want it to distort. 19.17 in the width box, and then just tab or return to get over to the height box, and it automatically sets it for you. So then we select everything on screen and we're going to center it horizontally, center it vertically, and you can see that it's all neatly overlocked now. And then what we do is we look at this selection that we've got, and this is the original cut piece, and that's the piece we don't want anymore because it's now going to cut according to this PNG. So we click on that original yellow cut piece in the layers panel and we get rid of it. You can hit the dustbin symbol or you can just hit backspace. Now we're going to click on the PNG in the layers panel and drag it into that group. Needs to go behind the scores, and if you do it that way, it's already attached. So I'm just going to show you a different way. If you don't want to do that dragging about thing, you can just click on the PNG, arrange, center back, but then you do need to attach them separately. The reason we didn't need to do it is because we were dragging it into that little attached assembly group. I don't like to use the word group when we're talking about attached, but that collection of things that was attached, we were dragging it into there, so it was already attached. So if we zoom into this now, you can see you've got your score lines exactly where they need to be to cut that box, and they fit perfectly with the PNG that you just brought in. So you would hit make it. This is a 2 space one. It will fit on A4. Choose A4 from your material size and it'll automatically rotate it for you like that. Click continue, send to printer, and depending on what your printer does, where your paper is, you might be using special paper that you need to feed into your printer at the back tray or anything, but you do need bleed on because as you can see the colour bleeds off the edges of the whole cut. So we're going to leave bleed on, system dialog, and print. Again, if you know it's going to print just fine from your A4 drawer, you don't need to use system dialog. But here I would use preferences. I would use, mine's in cassette 1, so I'm going to choose that. It is on A4. Here is where you might choose the difference in the quality of print. My particular printer still looks really good on standard. And then you click OK. And then if you were actually going to print it, you would click print at that window. And I'm not going to do because I don't need it. So we'll just go. We'll press cancel. Yes, I do want to cancel. Right, that was a 2-space box. The method of doing it is exactly the same with any one, but I will just show you it with a 4-space box because we need to understand that that won't print then cut on an A4 sheet. So I'm going to bring in the 4-space box SVG, the basic cut file for a 4-space box. Get it onto canvas. Select that second line down in your layers panel. Again, if there were more than one set, that would be a group, but there's just one set, so it's just a layer. Go to your operations menu, choose score from the drop down, and then select everything on screen and attach it for now. There we go. So now we need to, 24 is a 4-space artwork. So I'm going to go back to box fronts. I'm going to use the 24th. They're all named, by the way, with the day that they are. Obviously my artworks, you get the day number on there. So complex again at this window. Do nothing at this window, just click apply and continue. And yes, we are bringing it in as a print then cut. It's going to come onto the canvas way too big. Huge. So look at this one. Is it in the same orientation though? Because they're not always. I'm going to show you one that's not in the same orientation later. This one is, as it happens. You can see the basic shape is the same. It's just way too big. So if we look at that one, it should be 25.988 wide. So we click on the PNG, 25.988 in the width box, tab over, and it does the height automatically. Then we'll select everything, center horizontally, center vertically. So the way I showed you with the other one was you look in your layers panel to find that yellow box and then you hit the dustbin or you do backspace, whichever you want. But I don't know if it's harder to do that when you're working on a mobile device. I never run Design Space on a mobile device, but I'll just show you a different way if you need to, if you don't like working with your layers panel. So you would click on the PNG, you would send it to the back, and so now we can see the cut piece. Then you'd select that, and if you remember, we attached it to the scores, so we need to detach. Then we'll select just the cut piece, get rid of it. Oops. Did I detach it? That's strange. Oh, didn't ungroup it when I brought it in. That's confusing for you. I'm going to start again. I'm so sorry. If I knew how to edit videos, I would get rid of that, but I really don't, and more to the point, I don't have time. So just very quickly, bring that in. Select that subgroup for the scores, choose score from your drop down. I'm going to ungroup it this time, but we do need to attach that just for now because everything's got to stay where it is when we do the alignment with the PNG. We'll bring that PNG in again. We don't need to go through the bringing it in, so that's good. It's going to be too big. 25.99. 25.99. Tab across to get the height automatically. Select everything. Center horizontally. Center vertically. And I was going to show you a different way so you don't have to use your layers panel if you don't want to. So we click on the PNG. We send it to the back. We click on this box and scores which is attached and detach it. And it's not grouped now, so this is actually going to work. Click on the yellow cut piece, delete it, and then you just select those two and attach them. So that's if you don't like faffing around in your layers panel. I do, I use it all the time. I think that possibly on the desktop version it's slightly easier to work with than it is on a mobile device, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. So that is a 4-piece box. Now those two that we've just looked at come in the same orientation. On what number box did I bring in? I brought 19 in. Now that's a landscape box. So I'm going to bring in the 2-space box again, but this time I'm going to bring in an SVG, which is, sorry, a PNG for a box which is portrait. You'll know what I'm talking about if I just go back here for a second and show you these pictures. You can see that some 2-space boxes stand vertically and some sit horizontally within that wall. So they're going to come in slightly different because that's the way the artworks have been set up. So you can see the SVG here, it's set up for a horizontal one. But I'm going to bring in an artwork now which is one that stands vertically, and a good one of those is number 9. The 9th, there it is. Complex at this window. Do nothing at this window, just hit apply and continue. And yes, we're bringing it in as a print then cut. So, because of the way Design Space talks about width and height, you can see that that's 19.17 by 17.29 tall. If I rotate that, it will still tell me it's 19.7 wide, which is confusing, isn't it? Because that's not the actual dimensions. So I think what it would be easier to do is to just look at that box and say the smallest dimension, the smallest measurement I want is 19 point, yeah, we'll do it the largest because it's giving you the largest dimension here. I think I'm making this harder than it needs to be. Some of you probably get this exactly anyway, but if you've not done print and cut a lot, I don't want you to get confused like I am. So this cut file is 19.7 wide by 17.29 tall. The biggest of those numbers is 19.7. So I'm going to look at this box now. The biggest number is 40.03. So I'm going to click on the height box because that's what that is. It's the height. I'm going to make that 19.27 and just hit tab, and it's going to set the height automatically. And now I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to select everything. It's because it doesn't, Design Space doesn't change the order in which it gives you the numbers, and I think it's a bit confusing. Turning that round doesn't mean it gives you a different width dimension. It doesn't. It's still telling you that that original piece is 19.7 wide, and that can be a bit confusing when you're talking about these. So select both, center horizontally, center vertically. I'm going to do the layers panel bit, select that cut file in there, delete it, drag that one into that group underneath the scores. Oh, I haven't done the scores, have I? Full scores and attach. Right, if I just zoom in, you can see that the scores sit nicely exactly where they should to cut and fold that properly. I don't think I need to do that again. If you didn't understand what I did, go back and look at it. It needs thinking about because of the fact that Design Space doesn't give you a different set of measurements for a cut file even if you rotate it. It will still tell you that the original width of it is what it was before you rotated it, and you can get confused matching up PNGs to cut files because of that. Right, please give any and all feedback you want to on this video. It's definitely not been one of my best. I might make another one for this project later, but I so want to get it onto Etsy because if I don't, nobody's going to have time to make it for the 1st of December. I hope I've covered everything there. Please feel free to comment in the underneath, mention in the comments if I've missed out anything really important. I think it's quite hard sometimes when you've made quite a few of these to forget what you needed to think about to do it. And if I've forgotten anything that's really puzzling, please let me know and I will reply to it in the comments, which hopefully will help other people. Let's just look at that warning there. Look, I'm glad I saw that just before we quit. It says low resolution. This image will print poorly. I have no idea why it's saying that. All these artworks were made with files which are huge at 300 dpi, and I've used them much smaller than they're intended to be, and when I've exported the files as PNGs, I've exported them at 300 dpi, and I can tell you they print beautifully on my printer. I have no idea why it's giving you that low resolution message. It does for some of them, it doesn't for others. If they were genuinely going to be low res, it should tell you for all of them. And the fact that it doesn't, I think, is just demonstrates that that might be a glitch. These are not low resolution images, they're lovely. So just ignore that little yellow warning triangle about low resolution. They will print beautifully. Glad I saw that before I finished. If you've got any questions when you come to cut or assemble it or produce your print and cut artworks of your own, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I would really like to help, and I'm always happy to do so. The links to get in touch are in the description below. You can contact me on Etsy or Facebook, whichever you prefer. And if you just stumbled across this slightly rambling video and you'd still like to buy the SVG, the link to do that is in the description below as well. Thanks a lot. Bye.